Did you ever see something or hear something that ignited a memory of an event that occurred a long time ago that you forgot about until that moment? That's exactly what happened to me the day I saw a spread of pictures of Ted Bundy's victims, all with long, straight hair parted down the middle. Excuse me. And my mind just shot back to this place in 1968 in Calumet City, Illinois. I was working for Sears. I was 17 years old, and I had just gotten out of my car in the parking lot. Excuse me, my dog is right here. And from behind me and away from the store, this man came running up to my car and said, "You have something leaking from your car." I believe he said it was gas leaking from your car. And, I'm 17 years old. I'm still a senior in high school. This is not my car, it's my dad's. And I said, that's okay. I'll have my dad look at it later. He goes, no, you probably need to take care of that. And he's pointing to it. And so I trepidatiously looked underneath the car, and there were lots of stains. And he said, because there are so many stains under the car, why don't you pull the car over there? And he pointed to a grove of trees at the end of the parking lot so I can get a better look at it. And I said, no, that's okay. I have to go to work right now, and I'll just have my dad look at it later. He goes, it'll just take a second. Honest to God, it'll only take a second. I can take a look at it right now. And I said, that's okay. And he kept insisting, and I kept thinking the more he insisted, and he was very polite about it, the more scared I got. And I just kept saying no, and he kept insisting that he would look at it and take care of it. And when I looked over at the grove of trees at the end of the parking lot, I realized there were no other cars parked there, but that was his reason. He said that he could get a better look at leaks under my car if there weren't any cars parked there. And I kept saying no. Well, as I'm saying this, I'm looking at him. I can't remember what he looked like, though. I'm looking at him. The sun is setting behind him. It was, I don't know, maybe September of 1968, in the fall when I was working there. And he was taller than me. He was older than I was. He was very businesslike looking. And that's all I remember about him. So after I was finally able to get away from him, my body just started shaking. I remember shaking, going into Sears and, where I worked, and calling my dad right away and saying, this guy just stopped me in the parking lot and told me there was something leaking under the car. You need to take a look at it. My dad's going, there's nothing's leaking under the car. And I said, well, he insisted that there was. And he goes, don't worry about it. I said, well, what if he's there when I leave work? He won't be there. My dad wasn't at all concerned about it, which might have been why, even after I left that night and to go to my car, and I was very suspicious about whether or not he might be there, and he wasn't, I drove home. And I don't know, I don't know if I remembered it the next day or the next day after that or whatever, but eventually I just forgot about it. And then that day that I was looking at those pictures of these girls with long straight hair parted down the middle, and I had long straight hair parted down the middle. My hair was black back then, believe it or not. And why did those pictures remind me of that moment that I had forgotten about? So I started wondering, is it possible that that was Ted Bundy? Well, I had read a book by Ann Rule called The Stranger Beside Me, and I wrote her and asked her if she knew where he was. This is after reading the book. I wanted to know, did she have a clue with all her research? Did she know where he was during the month of September and October 1968. And she wrote back to me and she said, read my book. So I said, okay, well, that's a lost cause. That didn't work. But years later, I started thinking about this more and more, and I'm doing more research. I'm reading all these books about him. Well, at that time, in August of 68, he had driven from Washington State to Miami Beach, Florida. And then from there, he went, I don't know if it was to Pennsylvania first and then Arkansas or whatever. But Calumet City is located near I-94, I-80, and 294. So if it would be possible for him to just stop off somewhere on his route and check some places. And I'm thinking, maybe if that was the ruse he was using back then, maybe because it wasn't successful, he changed it from, can I help you, to can you help me? So who knows? I mean, I don't know of anybody who knows him other than Aunt Roll, who of course has died now. But it always bothered me. And I always wondered why, when I looked at those pictures, I remembered that moment in time with such clarity. So I just wanted to share that with you. I have posted that in an article that I wrote for Yahoo years ago, and for another video that I created. I guess I keep hoping that somebody's going to come forward and say, I remember that, he was in Calumet City, maybe you escaped something really horrendous. Like, why was this guy who was so polite and so helpful, or wanting to be helpful, why did that scare me? Why was I so frightened of this man who was being so obviously kind? But those are questions I guess I'll never have answered. So I'll probably add a little bit more to this video a little bit later, because I have had some real criminal activity happen to me beyond the last video that I posted. So have a good day. Talk to you soon. I will talk, you won't. Bye.